These devices just to get them into your hands. You're going to have questions about your devices, I promise, but me and London will be working with you one-on-one to answer those questions. So kind of hang on to them at this beginning part so we can get past this very noisy warehouse, and that way I'm not screaming at you guys all night long and lose my voice in the first 20 minutes. So quick demo with this guy, thermal imaging. So this is the real deal on this guy. Like, this is a FLIR Pro 1. This is what firemen use to actually help save people. I've also heard that it was used in the military. I had somebody on a group a couple of weeks ago that was like, oh yeah, I've used these in the military. So the fact that that's why I was like, oh, what branch are you guys in? Because I might actually have something for you. But with that said, you guys should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. We're looking for blue and black in this. Those are the cold spots. That's why we're using this. We're looking for those blue and black areas to either take shape on their own or start moving on their own. Now, we're going to try to keep a person in view because that's going to give us the array of color with this particular camera. There's also a blue dot bouncing around the screen. The blue dot will help you with finding the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. So that way it kind of helps direct your eye when you get your video back. Now, we're going to be doing a few starts and stops with this because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, we lose footage. So, Trey, this one's going to go to you. Why? Because you're my tallest guy, and I normally don't hand this to the tallest guy. I want to see what kind of footage you can get. So you're going to hold it with basically your right hand. That way the camera's on your left at all times. Obviously the orange square is your start and stop button. So kind of keep that in mind, and I'll give you the cues for the starts and stops. We are recording at this point, so everybody knows how to watch the video. And we're going to keep that rolling. Let's get the next one going. Let's see. Yeah, this crazy Ghostbuster-y looking thing. So, this camera works completely different than the thermal imaging camera that I just handed out. So let's kind of get into this one. You should not be able to see me in that little tiny black GoPro screen. I know I'm showing you a black screen, but very exciting, right? Black screen, everybody. Now the whole screen should be purple. I just lit up an infrared torch. Notice you cannot see these lights with your own eyes. So the whole point with this is that we're going to be able to capture something we wouldn't normally be able to see with our own eyes. So we're going to capture a lot of orbs, hopefully, with this guy, and we're going to be using an accompanying item along with this as well. So, Dion, this one's going to go to you, sir. I am going to start the recording because sometimes this one likes to lock up, and I'd rather it lock up here than later on when we're in the middle of a really good space. So, I got it recording, so just kind of keep that in mind. Two of you with cameras, now that they're both out, there's a reason why I give them out first. People don't like the cars to be filmed. People don't like to be filmed themselves. We will be in some spaces where there will be parked cars. Just, if I do Andy's coming, that means you're basically playing with a cell phone, and Dion, you're pointing your camera at the ground because people don't like their cars to be filmed. So, let's see. Let's get out the accompanying item with that. So, Neuralizer, the Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything. I need everybody to stare right there. That was a joke, girls. You're supposed to laugh. Chuckle. This is fun. So, lasers. Now that the car is giving me super bright lights, so they are not as impressive. Perfect. Yeah, so lasers, the reason why we're using lasers is to hopefully detect motion. So you can't see the lasers till something passes through it. The camera that I just handed to Dion, these things light up like a Christmas tree. Literally, because they're red and green. So, yeah, that's a new line. You like that one, Lon? Yeah, that was cool. So, now the green one, if we actually, find something in the middle of it, I'll be able to take the still and give it back to you, so that way you guys can actually see what we caught. Now, the red one is super cool because if we capture something, I'm going to take the still from the camera and then put it in 3D software, give you the full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So, has the software been able to take anything yet? No. I've had this guy about a year now. Everything's been just too blurry. Sorry, I did not bring the light. That was total by accident.
I got that in camera.
Okay. Awesome. Sue me later for blinding you. Alright, so Kristen, these ones are both going to go to you because you have to work with the hubby. So try to take that in mind. Both lasers have to stay on the ground. Now the red one, go ahead and turn it on. It's got the red one is the box. So it's got a light switch on it. Just flip it down. Got it. Now once it's on, so you have to be careful where you point. The rule of thumb here is to always keep the edge of the grid on your toes. So that way go ahead and push it out a little bit further. Right about there. You want to keep them in control.
Like this?
You got it.
Okay.
Now go ahead and turn that one off. Now the green one is a button right in the center. You have to hold that one on. Yes. Same thing with this one. Keep it at your toe at all times whenever you have them on. We're not going to keep them on every time just because, again, with the laser law in Charleston, there'll be certain spaces where that's actually safe to use. You're not always in the game, but Miss Brooklyn's going to have something where she's going to be able to share with you each time that you won't be able to use that. His camera's going to be her game on it. Yes.
I want to push the button because my hand's going to pick me up.
Spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes. There were 3 of you.
Yeah, she's coming back.
Oh, wait.
Just wanted to do it quickly.
Because I put down, like, that's the one thing I want to use.
Like, hang on, did we lose one already? Seriously? Alright, so spirit boxes, basically if you watch the TV shows, this is going to be your white noise, right? So, and then Zach Bagans is going to tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. I'm going to be keeping your hands busy. You got that? She's like, okay, I'm good. Alright, so with this guy, the person using it is going to have an earbud in. They're going to be the only one to hear it in real time, but it will record the entire session. We're using a different method with these. It's not just white noise. So Pamela, this one is going to give you, I have it slowed down on purpose. You're going to hear song lyrics, DJs, commercials, all that stuff is going to be slipping through slowly. If you can make out what it's actually saying, I want to know. If you hear buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today, because it's a commercial and the word buy might actually be relevant to the space that we're in. So kind of keep in mind, no matter how silly you think it is, if it comes through and you can make it out, I want to know what you're hearing. The cool thing is I'm going to be writing down everything that she hears in real time, and I will spot check this in the morning, giving you what I hear out of it when I'm going through it. In the event something is relevant to our space, a person in history that we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you, I will always give you that link to be able to verify that information. So your earwax is gross, you get to keep the earbuds. So those are yours. Undo your twist tie for those, but your volume button is right here. It's the wheel at the top.
Okay.
Don't hit the button. It's definitely the wheel. It's turned all the way down right now, so go ahead and undo that twist tie so that way you can get used to it. Brooklyn, you're going to get the other one. Yay, lucky you. I have 2 of these. However, because you've kind of been on other ghost tours before and seem pretty experienced with this, yours is not recording. So I'm going to have to rely on you on what you're hearing in real time to be able to add it to your notes tomorrow. Now, in the events, because most people only use one earbud with this, so when mom can't use her lasers, and I'm assuming mom, am I correct in that?
No, I'm your sister.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So when mom isn't allowed to use her lasers, give her the other earbud. She can help you. That way you guys can verify what you're hearing together. So it's already sweeping. Again, earbuds are yours. Keep those, then do the twist tie. Volume button is the wheel. And make sure it's pressed all the way down so you get flashing out. Francisco.
Yeah.
Your spirit box is very interesting. Yours is going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations at the same time and attempt to take out the white noise that Pamela and Brooklyn are hearing in real time and only give you words. Part of the reason why I'm giving this one to you is because it doesn't record, but Trey's device does. So if you two stick close together and you miss something, it's going to be on the audio for the camera. So that way we kind of aren't going to miss anything. The only thing you need to worry about is, well, 2 things. First, it's only going to give you about 10 to 12 things you can actually make out through the whole 2-hour time frame. And that way you guys can actually listen in together at the same time anyway, is how to hold it. The blinking lights are the top. On the right-hand side is a mute button. It's the only button there. I already have it on mute so I can kind of get through the rest of these devices. And then I'll tell you when it's safe to unmute because we're going to be near some ponies very soon and they don't like the white noise. Wow, I guess my other 2 really aren't showing up today. Let me just double check my phone, make sure they did not text me.
I guess I got a spirit box.
They did not. Okay, good job, Laura. The next spirit box. Fiona, I'm going to give this one to you because I'm going to have to call out your name a lot and I'm going to make sure I get it right. Okay. So, Red, Fiona, got it. So this spirit box, we don't have to listen to. It's going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen, kind of like an obulus on your TV shows. So with that said, it's going to save all of those terms to a list. Last night we had 84 terms. It's a little bit higher than average. We normally see about 75. Here's what I'm going to tell you about this list. This thing is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare you, right? That's the whole point of it. You have the same thing?
I just got important on it, so.
Do you have the upgraded version?
I didn't.
Okay, so you don't have the 36,000 terms that are in mine. So you have the 2,000 word version.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I got 2 or 4 today at the closing. What is it?
So, in a nutshell, just like everybody else is listening to song lyrics and DJs, 80% of this, guys, is going to be garbage. There's 36,000 terms in here. 80% is going to not mean anything at all. It's going to be the other 5 to 20% that's going to be a detail about the location of where we are, a person in history, something going on with one of us. So again, I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you and show you how to get to that word list, which is right here on the right, and you'll be able to scroll through it when we actually have any words up there. Right now it's just 3 dots. Basically, you're going to hang on to it and use it as a normal spirit box. We have 1 person left. Jessica, was it? Ah, look at me getting names right. Awesome. You're my multitasker. Lucky you, right? So, you guys have probably seen these guys on TV before, right? K2 EMF meters. So, again, London's going to hang on to that. We don't need your spirit box, too. We got 3 of them running because I've seen 2 over
I got one in my pocket, yeah.
So, this is actually going to be using, it's also an EMF detector, but it's way more accurate because it's digital. That only goes to 25. I've seen this one go over 200. So basically anything above 2.5 on your big numbers, I want to know what's going on. That way we can debunk to see if it's something man-made, parking meters and, you know, wiring, something like that. The bottom number is ambient temperature. In the event that Trey finds something on his camera, you and I will be able to debunk it or prove it pretty quickly with the ambient probe at the top. And the last thing that everybody likes to use is the REM pod. It's a motion sensor. If something gets close to that antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. The closer it gets, obviously the higher the pitch, different colors in there. You and I are going to discuss that a lot more in detail at our second stop because that's the first place we're going to use it. For now, I just need you to kind of get used to the way those red numbers move around. Let's see.
Yeah. Water bottle.
So how does like put all of these like instruments together to see if like volts are there? And you put all this evidence together.
You're going to see when I compile the entire thing together, when you look at it as a whole, sometimes there's a theme. It was either one location was more prominent than another. We had more clues to one space than another one. You're going to see, like, I'm always going to give you an analysis before we leave a space. Like, hey, this was either really light or like, this was a holy cow moment. And then at the end of the night, I'm always going to be like, guys, this is the gist of how I'm seeing things. We'll see what I capture in the morning. It might be an average amount of evidence that I'm seeing in real time, kind of giving me that first, but we just never know what's actually going to go on. So, Kayla, we're going to give you this spirit box just because it doesn't look like our other 2 people are showing up. In the event that they do, you'll have to give it up. So, London will show you how to use that, so just hang on to it for me for right now so that you guys both have something to use.
I don't remember my birthday gift from 5 years ago being a part of this tour.
That's not your birthday gift
No,
anymore.
that was.
That one was. So London literally helped me get this started, obviously, since she's complaining that I took all of her gear because Dad needed to go to work. Dad had a great idea, which is why you all are here. So it's obviously expanded quite a bit with all of the crazy gear that's in your hands. So
You're welcome.
Thank you.
that's a quit your bitching type of speech. Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna see the banter go back and forth all night long, just so you guys know.
I get it.
It's all on camera. Awesome. Love it. So,
We're gonna laugh about this
welcome.
later now.
Am I though?
10 years.
Yeah. When I'm revisiting your video.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Big John's the place behind me, and you two you've got it. They've been very quiet since they got here, have they not? So we got to get you guys up and talking. Hopefully, you're gonna find something on that spirit box. So, Big John's behind me is haunted, of course. That's why we start here. And again, here's how this kind of is going to go down. Big John's was named after a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. He owned the place. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a building, we have 6 spirit boxes in play tonight, possibly more depending on if the 2 of you are going to use yours. But I slowed down on those keywords on purpose. In this location, it would be 47 New York Giants and anything relatable to the name John or a bar, just so you guys know. Those specific clues will come up from time to time. So, what happened here? Big John used to sit in the back of the bar and would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. John has the bartender throw them out and they leave pretty pissed off, and they come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, he slams down his beer and goes over and starts pounding these guys right into the floor. He's beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck with one of the bullets, and the bullet goes behind him in the wall. John gets up after being shot, the only one that's been shot, by the way, goes back to the bartender and tells him to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in ambulance. Now, normally I tell you that there's a haunted building, you automatically think of some kind of tragic death. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if the Big John's renovation that we're staring at right now filled in that bullet hole, the blood is still in the building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is your heated warning. In the event we're dealing with paranormal activity tonight, fingers crossed we will, because I can't make the ghosts do anything. They're not on the payroll, Brooklyn, just so you know. I need to know who's feeling those kind of symptoms immediately. We will always blame it on our crazy humidity first, but at the same token, it's not like I've never had to call the EMTs or paramedics in the past. So again, that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair? All right. Again, we're dealing with paranormal stuff here. All right, let's get our minds off our own health because we do have parents here. So let's kind of let them stop worrying about their kids. Like, what the hell did we just sign up for? So we had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another Charleston tour, now you do. The building, Big John's, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantling you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front where all the crazy traffic is. A piece of it broke off during that earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. They say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that because Brooklyn, I don't have any proof. So I don't want you to get like super excited about certain things. Some things are going to debunk for you really fast. I just bring up that story as a segue so that way Brooklyn's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So yes, I'm going to point you out again. Your name's easy to remember because of my daughter London. All right, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting or at least learn more about your devices?
Yes.
All right, we're going to head up this way and get off this way and plow.
It's not.
Sorry, I won't text you. Keep texting up.
Beautiful parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. Yes, it's a parking lot. That was a joke, everybody. Lighten up. So, what is this space? This used to be, really, motorcycle guy? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden behind the Five Church restaurant over here, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of this place. First and foremost, spirit boxes. Again, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes. So, let's talk about Eliza and Charles. Who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses in case you guys lost count. You see why I look for those secondary verifiers now? We need to know which damn Charles we're actually talking to. It's a clue as to who that person was. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us. However, I hate politics more than everybody here. So, is that fair? Yeah, I do. Nobody wants to talk about politics. So, fiance, definitely no. Move on. So, we're going to talk about Eliza. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear like 12 and 14, like colonial time marriage ages. You're going to hear numbers as the young for today. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. So again, it was a creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. Just kind of put that in the back of your brain. It's like, yeah, I get it. So with that said, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he was trying to bring all of his children back home again so he could see him one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so instead, she stays here and gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in, obviously, the New World because you want a green card. We're not even a country yet. So she does marry Charles out of love, and even after Charles died, because yes, he went first because he was over double her age, remember, she did remain a widow after that, so you don't need to poke the bear about what she did after her marriage to him. But her father gets better, and he starts sending her gifts to this space. You guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. He sent her indigo seeds. Indigo actually is a plant that makes blue dye that makes all of your blue denim jackets blue. That's what's in your jackets right now. That's the reason why I pointed it out, because that's my memory of like, oh, we have the 3 indigo girls. Awesome. So again, that's how we use it today. But when she got these seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. So once she figured it out and experimented with it right here, she moves it to another plantation, calls her father and says, the rice plantations in South Carolina are going downhill. We can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international business. So what do you have going on here, Fiona?
I have inside. I have I am.
I am, and then Charles?
Well, it's Charles and then I am.
We need to know which Charles. Give us the right clues. So you're going to have to send me that list. I'll show you how to do that later.
All right.
So, things we can ask, because that was just Eliza's business. That's the serious stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why everybody's here. So let's go after Fiona. First thing I'm going to separate these questions so that way everybody's not bombarding themselves. So you're going to ask about, there's two different Elizas that Charles married. So the first wife, Eliza, died in 1744 in January. Then he marries the second Eliza in May, the one I just told you about, 5 months later. First wife dead, 5 months later remarries another woman with the same name. Yeah, kind of weird. This guy's a little creepy. So at the same token, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Try to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking what her maiden name is. Francisco, your device. So I want you going after what happened to the mansion. And then if you get an answer, obviously when did that happen? I'm giving you this series of questions because yours is going to give you like 1 to 2 syllable words that you can make out, and all of those answers are 1 to 2 syllables, just so you know. But kind of keep that in mind when you're going through that. Let's go through. I want to give you the questions about her children. I want you to ask how many children she had, because you already know there's at least one, right, Charles? There's more. Ask how many and what their names are. Hopefully you get some answers. Yeah, they're not in there though. You don't have, it's not a walkie-talkie, but out loud, focus on it however you're comfortable. Again, everybody has their own little methods. But again, don't poke the bear with this one. As far as the children go, I'm asking her not to poke the bear because there is a tragedy among those children. If she pokes the bear, all activity will stop, including any EMF readings that we're getting. I keep forgetting who has it. So any readings that Jessica's getting, they're going to stop. Don't poke the bear. Stick to the questions on yours only. You're the only one that really can't go rogue, just so you know. Brooklyn, you're going to go after her death. So I figured that would be right up your alley. So with that said, you can ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, where she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, again, I'm not sure if you are familiar with what a pallbearer is. You know what that is? So the people that carry a coffin to somebody's grave, like family members, in honor of the person that just died. Imagine if it was a president carrying you to your grave. Obviously, you're in honor of a person, somebody that should be looked at. So, does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Like, I carried my grandmother to her grave because I was her favorite grandson. Okay, so kind of take that from the things. But yeah, there was a president that took her to her grave. Try to find out which president it was. So, it says guess. It's
I
funny.
got the word disaster.
Was a disaster that happened to the Pinkley Mansion site. So, again, you have your first clue, sir. I'm not going to take that as evidence until you get the actual answer. And keep in mind, all of these spirit boxes that are in play tonight, the answers can go anywhere. Brooklyn might be asking questions. Pamela, you might be asking... Yeah, I got the name right, Pamela? Yes,
Yeah.
perfect, sorry. You might actually get the answers to what she's asking. Or Francisco might hear them back there. You just never know where the answers are going to actually go. That's why I kind of bounce around with all of you. So that way I can kind of see what's going on, and then I'll regroup us, get you all the answers, and kind of show you, like, basically show you what everybody has caught so far. Again, we'll kind of know after about 2 full round robins of me bouncing around with you of what's going on with this location. There are cars in here, so cameras, you kind of know the rules. Don't focus on any cars, just keep things moving along. Lasers cannot go on vehicles either, so just kind of watch where your lasers go. They will set off car alarms. No pressure at all on yours. None.
Nope,
Not at all. So I do, go ahead.
I heard weekend in Atlanta.
So we have Atlanta. So I will be writing down Atlanta. Have we gotten any readings out of yours yet, Jessica?
Just like
0.3, so
80. Was she 80 years old when she died?
no, but that's
Okay.
a damn good guess. I'm gonna.
I saw that the whole guess, so.
That is so funny that that came up that way.
Yeah.
So disaster in 80, I don't have to write down, but you heard weekend in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm just gonna write down Atlanta.
If you want the words that we had when we were at the barn.
Yeah, give me like the last
When we
4
were
or 5.
in front of the John's place,
Yeah.
I got architecture,
Okay.
made, inside.
Okay. Yeah. Part of the 80% garbage.
And then Jameson Brothers sandwich.
Did I swear at any point? Did somebody try to, like, a ghost try to correct me, like language? Kind of
I
pointing
don't
their
think
finger
so.
at me? I don't know. It's a possibility. Who knows?
Maybe like Jameson.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's a very good point too. All right, we are going to spread out in this location. Again, don't go in between vehicles. And London is going to be bouncing around with you. I'm going to be working with Jessica first so I can show her more about that REM pod. But definitely get yours unmuted. That way you can definitely listen in on there. And again, nice slow movements out of those cameras. The slower that you guys move, the easier it is to watch later on, just so you know. Bouncing around with it does not help me at all. Or you, for that matter, if you're trying to watch it. All right, everybody, let's spread out. London will be out in the field helping. London, where you want to help out first?
I'm gonna figure out this thing first, and then I'll go over to the den of tricks.
Okay. Okay, the denim chips, got it. See how she labeled you? That's so funny. So what do you need to know about this? How to turn it on? Turn it on. You just need to turn the volume on.
You gonna unmute it?
Sit.
I need you to walk around so I can keep you in focus. I need you to walk around so I can keep you in focus.
I haven't got a clear answer.
Did you ask?
Yeah.
What'd you ask?
About the disaster that happened in the mansion.
Hey, go toward the trash can.
Oh, I did? Yeah. No, press the first. Dad, let's go through Joe quick enough. And I was just like, oh my god.
I just want to know about the disaster that happened in the mansion. That's all I want to know.
That's for you. What year did that disaster happen?
What year it happened in? Is that what you said? I heard 89.
89.
Yeah, it's something about a farm. Or 89?
1789? What year did they get married again?
Lisa, how many licenses were you? License? No.
Elijah?
No, how many were there? it say where the mansion was? Alright.
Yeah.
So we are standing where the mansion used to be.
Yeah.
I keep hearing the name of Laser. Eliza Laser. It's like a song.
Okay. In front of her there was just something. Like, not even kidding, there was something, like a silhouette.
Are you sure it's not our shadow?
No, a silhouette in front of her. Jessica. Just walking with her.
Rice field.
Rice field?
What happened in the rice field? Poor her.
Downloading the
Follow. Person walks up in again.
Rice field. What is it? 89? 89. And then, what's her name again? Liza?
Eliza.
I heard the name of Liza twice.
Okay.
That's all I heard.
Nothing crazy on the camera?
When Jessica was walking across, there was a white shadow in front of her. Like, looking like it was moving with, like, walking with her.
Like a shadow or an
Like,
outline?
outline.
Oh, well, that's not.
Okay. Like, it's like, she's the first one I ever saw the outline on.
Yeah.
Okay.
It tries to pick up bodies, so.
Okay.
So, Rice Field, 89, and Eliza Place.
I forgot nothing about the mansion though.
What was the disaster that happened to the mansion?
Something I was there, I think.
Sorry, everybody's like taking up all my time. I haven't gotten over to you guys yet. What have you heard?
89. We weren't sure
That was the year.
the year.
No.
We also heard Eliza twice, and then Rice Field.
Oh. You guys are actually getting some pretty decent stuff. It's all like obviously relatable to the space, but obviously not direct answers to your questions.
Yeah. I got
so
nothing on it.
but you're getting the gist, obviously, of how to listen to that guy. It's not an easy task because, again, it doesn't record. We won't be able to go back unless we go back and listen to the audio. But again, yours is attempting to take out the white noise, and it doesn't seem like it's taking out any of it right now. So has it been doing that the entire time you've had it?
Yes, until it's like a live voice and right field.
It was like the clearest like pause.
Wow. Okay. It's really weird that it's going like you have that much static in between it, because normally you get like breaks of silence in there, and I'm not hearing any breaks of silence at all. So I'm gonna actually readjust it just a hair, just so that it's not sounding like the other ones at this point. That's better. That's way better. Now it should be a little bit more clear when things are going to come through.
Right.
Perfect. Anything crazy on your video? Great.
No, I had sent it to London. She explained there was like a outline in front of Jessica, like a little
Just
bit
off
ahead
to
of
the
her.
side?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does that. And with your camera, it's not always about a real-time event either.
Yeah.
It's usually about the review. And I do post those to YouTube so you can watch them on your TV.
Okay.
But even when I spot check them, like my computer screen's pretty large, so that way I can see obviously everything very clearly. And if I have spot checks on it, like and if I find anything, I'll give you the screenshots from what I find, even from one event. You might have 8 or 9 screenshots from one event of something moving across.
Okay.
So that way you can actually see the pictures too.
Okay.
Now we
There's someone who's kind of far.
That's not good.
That's the question.
About the disaster of the mansion? I don't know. I was about to say hotel. Heard the music. Doing good.
Walking around, of course they chug them on the way here. Like, good job, girls. Good job. We live like 45 minutes away, so. Whatever that's supposed to say. And London knows where she's going down here, so I know she's short as well. She knows exactly what she's doing. Alright, anything crazy going on with your word list?
No, it's all stuck on accelerate.
Accelerate. So we did get the word election that showed up on that. And I will tell you that Charles, the son, did run for president 5 times. So that's a big deal. Obviously, elections being something pretty huge. We did get the number 89 that came up out of the SB 11. My brain for that. But again, I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff like Rice Field. They heard the name Eliza twice. You know, we obviously have I Am Charles. Like, there's some pretty specific things going on, which are all great starter clues. Nothing really here says Eliza and then her maiden name to kind of verify it is Eliza. So kind of take that in stride with how I actually operate. So we're going to go ahead and mute that just for the next couple of minutes so I can kind of get you guys the answers here. The first thing I like to show you guys always at a location, if I have a picture of the person, is their mugshot. Like, you need to know who the heck you're trying to hunt down. Whenever I break out the tablet, I will go around the horn, like around the entire table. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. This is the second wife who married Charles at the age of 22. He was 45. So again, creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. I think that was from your movie. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So the maiden names you would have been listening for were Lamb and Lucas. I think that covers it on those two. The mansion caught fire. So the only photograph we have of the mansion, nobody heard anything relatable to flame, nor did we have anything.
I might have heard burn.
Did you hear burn?
Yeah, but I don't think it was caught on camera.
It's okay. If you heard it, or if like normally, it's whatever the first instinct you have. Like you can't go back and double check it. So it's whatever the first thing you think you heard. I'm gonna write it down so that way you guys can actually try to verify on the camera. Remind me to write that down on the way to the next location. But this actually occurred almost 70 years after Eliza's death. This is the only photograph we have of the mansion. This is exactly where you're standing right now. And this occurred on December 11th of 1861. So with that being said, we will get the numbers 12, 11, 61, and burn, fire, flame, anything obviously relatable to a fire. Now every Charleston tour is going to tell you about a fire of whatever year it happened in. That's the name of it, right? Charleston Fire of 1861. The fire we're talking about here is actually one of the biggest fires that Charleston ever endured. You're standing on the green dot on the right-hand side of this map. That's how large the fire was. It's obviously the all in orange. It's the entire peninsula width. So it literally went from one side of the peninsula to where we're standing all the way to the other side. So again, you're standing on the green dot. That's how big this fire was. This is $5 to $9 million worth of damage in 1861. I have no idea what that translates to today, just so you know. That would be a lot. So again, just kind of keep that in mind.
How did the fire start? Do you know?
I do know, actually. Great question. See, I'm a brain sometimes. The Harris Teeter grocery store up the street, it was about that approximate area. Some homeless folks were just trying to stay warm. The fire got out of control, came down East Bay Street, and then went that way. Did a whole hell of a lot more damage than what I just showed you. So, yeah, it started with some homeless folks just trying to stay warm. Who had the questions on the children? Who was supposed to ask?
Oh, I had the children.
You had the children. To get to Owen, I told you we would actually get bleed over from Big John. I'm going to wait to see if another clue shows up about Mr. Owen.
Hey, okay, I just got Owen, and something broke.
I don't know, but Owen is definitely relevant. I'll try to give you that one later on if it shows up. The children, there were 4 of them grand total. You kept hearing the number 3.
Yeah.
Did somebody actually poke the bear and actually ask about the tragedy?
No.
Okay. Because normally when we do that, that's when we start getting the number 3 over and over again. She doesn't want to talk about this tragedy, even though I'm going to give it to you anyway. So, with that said, there are 4 kids. Charles, you already know about. Obviously, signed of the Constitution, ran for president 5 times, boring guy, right? Politician. We're going to move on. Thomas. Thomas fought in the Revolutionary War battle, the Battle of Camden, just southwest of here in South Carolina. He was actually captured by the British and shot in the left leg. So when he was released, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. So again, these are the terms I look for with Thomas in the event that he actually shows up here. Obviously, we didn't get any clues relatable to Thomas. I just like to give you what I look for. Baby George is the next one. This is where things get a little weird and creepy. Baby George, you can obviously see where this one's going based on his name. This is the tragedy I told you not to poke the bear with. He doesn't have a grave or a headstone. The only thing we know about him is that his birth and death were in June of 1747, because that's what's on his death certificate. It is a possibility he doesn't have a grave because they would have kept him mummified right here in the home. Basically wrapped him up like a mummy and kept him here waiting for his mother to pass away so he can be buried with his mom. That's my theory and my theory alone. You cannot Google mummied baby and not expect the government to call you. So I cannot prove any of this, but it is a very likely scenario. It's going to get even weirder when we start talking about Eliza's death, so just kind of keep that in mind. But there is one more child. Her name is Harriet, the only daughter. She married Daniel Horry. Horry County is Myrtle Beach. Now you have an idea of where she lived. So it wouldn't have been a 2.5-hour car ride to go see her. Lots of letter writing. So Harriet does show up here, which is very seldom. Ink, paper, quill, those type of terms will show up. Eliza's death, that was you, right? You had the Eliza questions about her death? She was 70 years old when she died, not 80, because I think 80 showed up on a spirit box somewhere, am I right?
89.
But I think we also had 80, and then you guys had 89. I was looking at 89 for you guys because of the year, but she actually died in 1793. I had to stop and remember, like, what year was it? So 93 shows up here often as well. But she was 70 when she died, and she was going to Philadelphia to get treatments, whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. Did we not have the word cancer show up on your word list?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the word cancer.
I just got like a bunch of new words as you were talking.
Give them to us. What do you got?
First was feet when you were talking about Baby George.
Okay.
Hold, and then often, vaccine, lead, and who.
What was the last one?
Who.
Yeah, all very vague terms. In Philadelphia, that's where Eliza died. That's where she's also buried. So, why does Stories in the Cemetery, the tour, not take you to actual cemeteries? Well, first off, Charleston's one giant cemetery because we've had tons of deaths everywhere. But you don't get a whole lot of activity, paranormal activity, in a graveyard because none of you are going to hang out in a cemetery when you're gone. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away, which is exactly why we go to the spaces that we go to on this tour. So, Baby George, the other question that you should have in the back of your mind is, if my theory is true, they would have transported Baby George from this space by horse and carriage all the way to Philadelphia to be buried with his mom. So again, take that for what it's worth. I can't prove it, but it is a very likely scenario. Anybody want to take a guess at the president who was the pallbearer at her funeral? 1793? History buffs going once, twice. Are you getting a lot of terms showing up?
I got alcohol and Russian, but I thought it was funny because we were Russian.
Huh. Very interesting. Guesses on that president? Once, twice? It was Washington. At his own request, wanted to pay homage to Eliza for her indigo helping to get his country started. So, I will tell you, when we got here, I told you all one subliminal message. I am not going to be giving you questions like, what color is George Washington's white horse? Click the reset. She did move her hand a little bit. Yeah, it can be very sensitive at times. So the reason why I gave you that question of the George Washington's white horse bit is to put George Washington in the back of all of your brains and see who's going to be able to give me that answer while we were actually working in the field, or even after I asked you all again. And again, it is a true story that George Washington was a pallbearer, but you all passed with a fail because even when I asked you again, you still couldn't give me the correct answer. So good job. I do that on purpose to see who's going to be subject to subliminal messaging. So that's actually my little wordplay for the night. It's the only one that I do. Here's what's going to happen from here. We're going to go up to Lodge Alley. It's about 3 blocks away. Spirit boxes, this is your time to shine. Brooklyn, go ahead and stop your video. That's the button at the top. And then where's the other video? So you can stop yours too, Trey.
Oh no, it's not the way. It's just like I'm zooming in to like sort of.
Oh, gotcha. I want you to pick one laser after this wall. Try not to go inside the wall. So stand all the way back to the wall. Perfect. And Brooklyn, you're going to stand in the center. And you're going to film going straight down the alley. Because folks, what we're looking for here is something that's going to interrupt the anomaly here. Ever see my arm light up? So that's basically what we're looking for when we watch this video. This is actually one of the second major things I look for when I'm watching a video. So I make sure she's still recording, which is awesome. You're recording now, Trey? Good deal. So you're in a perfect spot too, so we get weird anomalies down here. Tell me what you guys heard along the way. I know I got scary. He said he was tired.
Terrified, he said.
Terrified, not tired. Got it. Did we get any names out of anything?
I think I heard Roger.
Roger. Nope, you don't need to. I know exactly. Alright. Anybody else got any names? Sure.
I just got like courage, positive, program, and
Francisco, anything out of yours? Nothing.
Needles.
Needles. That's interesting. Alright, so let me tell you why we're here. We crossed the last crosswalk coming down East Main Street. That's where the original Charlestown Walls used to be. So you are standing on one of the first streets Charlestown ever had. Yes, Charleston used to be called Charlestown. So part of the reason why we're actually not going to be spending a lot of time here, and keeping that on you, sorry, Francisco, but that's a hotel room right there, and if somebody's in here, I just throw that just so you guys know. This is another reason why we use the earbuds. And again, your device is very important, it's just you can't use it in every space. So with that said, I have the full list of names of every person that's ever lived down this alley before, because this was a normal street for them. So the names I commented here are Benjamin and John. Now Roger, I want to say, is going to be tied to something else that we're going to get ourselves into. Linus got it now. Hopefully we get the other clue to be able to verify that. Because again, things bleed over. We just never know where. 6 to 7 weeks. Right now we're in that loop. We're on weeks 4 and 5. So I wasn't expecting any of you to actually hear Benjamin and John. And I'm studying this alley for my next podcast episode based on the stones that you're standing on. Because here's why we're here. We're dealing with Belgian blocks on the ground. They're related in 1739 that we know of, and they're made purely of granite. When I say that they're purely of granite, you guys have all heard the term limestone before, because you all seem like you're into the paranormal in some way, shape, or form, and you know that limestone stirs up activity. Now, granite also comes straight from the earth, but it's not supposed to hold an electrical charge. So Jessica, I'm going to have you put your device on a brick, pick any brick. No, you don't need to do that. I just want to know about the red numbers that show up on there. We're going to leave it on there for about a minute. Let me go ahead and help her keep an eye on that so she doesn't stay bent over. But these bricks are not supposed to hold a charge at all. If we get anything, it should be up to 1.1 because that's just natural from the earth. Lately, they've been going all the way up to 9, 11, 13, and 15. So again, and it hasn't been every single night. We never know what's actually going to occur. Again, as we get closer to that 6 to 7 week long loop, this is what we're dealing with, the stone tape theory. Basically, the bricks are hanging on to the consciousness of the memories of the things that happened here. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. Granted, there were 4 different Johns that lived here. This John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. John Johnson will come up all in one night at the same night of Benjamin's name as well. There's nothing significant about these 2 gentlemen or the year 1801. It's all about the stone tape theory that we're dealing with. Wasn't anything coming up out of there? Yes. Okay, Jessica, you can pick up your device. We're probably not going to get anything at all. So this is not a lucky night for us on that. It's like doing a scratch-off ticket. You just never know. So the interesting thing is that list is not very long. When I say people live down here, I'm only talking like 4 to 5 people at a time. So 2 out of 5 people that I keep getting every 6 to 7 weeks, I don't call that coincidence. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. Jessica, you feeling okay? You look very hot, by the way. Like you were, like, as far as sweaty, like, I don't know if you were like feeling dizzy or anything. Just keeping an eye on you. So it wasn't hitting on you. It was a matter of like, no, you look hot, as in temperature hot. So, but with that said, the Freemasons, we'll get terms wrapped around them as well. So Freemason, Mason, brick. The word Illuminati will just show up on those red spirit boxes that you guys have with the earbuds. And the weird thing about that is you guys are listening to radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio, first off? And second, why are we only hearing it when we're in this space? Those have been showing up not on loop, but just kind of random. We never know when Illuminati will actually show up here. So we had it 6 times last year and 3 times so far this year. Must have been on your off weekend. Sorry. Gotta get this kid a job so she's out here all the time. So the next space that we're going to, again, this isn't a space where we're going to sit here and ask any questions. I'm seeing like little dust particles kind of float through here.
Yep.
So again, I'm sure you're going to notice those when you're watching the video. But the next place we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it. Why? Because I've been kicked out. You guys have all the blinky lights and the flashy meters and noisemakers and that kind of thing. It is considered residential at the end, so we tell that story outside of it and stir up the activity a little bit. We will hear from the rest of our time together of things from that space. So as we exit, both videos will stop recording because we'll be cutting through a neighborhood to get to that location. So again, we don't record in neighborhoods. Francisco, as we start moving again, you can definitely unmute and continue listening until we get to the next space, and then I'll have you mute again as I tell that story. The rest of you, go ahead and definitely keep listening to yours. Jessica, you're still kind of out of the game because we're going to be near parking meters again. So again, we like to do tests with yours because it's more scientific than everything else. And it'll definitely be no lasers for the next stop as well. We'll be at the last stop with the lasers back up again. Again, you can't use every single device in every single location, unfortunately. All right, so let's take a hike through the rest of this alley. Definitely listen in and tell me what you guys are seeing, and then we'll talk about it once we get to the next stop. have some fun in this location, and let's see if we can capture it. London, if you want to take the cameras over to Sue Howard Hart.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if they want to go over there.
Okay.
But if you wanted to take Francisco and Trey over there, just to kind of show them what's going on,
Yeah.
maybe they can get us some footage.
All right. Yeah.
What was your captain's name again? What? Something like That's funny.
Blue.
Blue?
Yeah.
If she had blue hair, I'd be so happy.
Baltimore, I guess, has the bottom, so they get the top billing. But yeah, he was born in Boston, grew up in Michigan.
And then her tombstone would have been right next to where the cross was.
And then spent a year here. So. Among others. All these fridges are active.
Just like kind of anything at this point. Because normally we're not able to come over here because of the tours, other tours. I suppose it's like 10th time you asked me. I need more crickets. What's happening? Yeah. Oh my God. You went to a candy store and bought crickets.
I'm about to start eating.
Do you want to try it? No. You seem fun. I'm good. You guys want to try it?
There's sour cream and onion. Go for it. Thank you.
And and then we can go back over now.
Possibly married?
I'm gonna walk on the phone.
Get anything on your devices over there?
I just got the word blue, marry, and remember.
Did you ask any questions?
Just about the pirate's boat name.
It wasn't the Mary.
Yeah, I was like,
But we did have Mary in the story.
Right.
Remember, her friend slash lover was Mary Reed. The funny thing is that her mother's name is also Mary. So again, Mary is always relevant here, and that would be the second Mary because we have Mary on the word list that they were using. That family, they had the same word list that I was using. They had Mary on their list as well when we were over at Philly. So that's two different Marys right there. Do we have a verifier? Not yet. We just have double Mary.
Right.
So unless Bloody comes up, then we know who's drinking.
I'm not gonna lie. When she was talking, I heard the word fight. Fight again. Fight. I got the word fight again, and I'm not gonna lie, I got the same word once.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not writing that one.
Yeah, definitely not.
What's funny is the word fight and battle both showed up here last night. Alright, I'm going to pull us over to the wall, because none of these terms are like super specific other than the word the name Mary. Everything else is like weird, like there's no path back, there's, you know, they're on the blast, you know, they're just weird phrases, like nothing very specific. So let's head over towards the wall. Now what do you got?
I got the number 50 before, but also after Ace away. Maybe she gave her baby away. Don't help the baby. Have a good night.
I'm sure she did. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. Let's go to this wall over here. What is it? Proton? Yeah, that's a real word. It's a sciencey, geeky, nerdy word. It's not something I've heard before.
Young.
The spot where I get to show you the mugshots. The phrases are cool, but nothing like super specific. That's why I'm like, that's kind of vague. That one's vague. The picture of Anne Bonny, this is one of the few pictures you can find of her with a shirt on, because she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. So again, I told you she was pretty hardcore and badass, right? But the names of her parents, William Cormac, Mary Brennan. We did have 2 Marys show up. So Francisco heard of Mary, and then we had a Mary show up on Kristen's word list because she was using the same app that Fiona's using. So I'm going to try to get her to text me or email me that list. Michaela's also got a list that she's going to be emailing, texting me. We'll kind of see what shows up out of that. Again, you're getting like extra things because people brought extra apps that they were using that I already use, and they were relevant. So it's pretty cool stuff. I also like to show you Calico Jack. Again, you already know that he was dubbed with creating the crossbones for the Jolly Roger, but he was named Calico Jack because of his jackets, because they came from the British captains that he killed. So he's basically Fancy Jack, Calico Jack. So again, the name of his ship was called the Kingston. I don't expect Kingston to pop up unless it's out of Francisco's device, just because his is going to pick up more disembodied voices versus us using radio stations on yours. So, but the word king would suffice here, even on the digital Spirit Box word list. So did you get any colors out of her at all? So just a few nights ago, one night last week, we asked her what color her hair was. That's what we got. Yeah, I've never seen that happen. We reset it, did it again, like left the space because it was too specific, and it did the exact same thing. And then the next night we asked that question again, and the name or the word red came up out of your Spirit Box, plain as day. The second night we were using that SB11, that open air Spirit Box that he has, scanning both radio stations. Somebody's handing it back to me to kind of pack things up, and then the word pirate shows up out of it. And it wasn't like the Pittsburgh Pirates, like part of a sentence. It just said pirate, and that was the end of it. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Luckily, the thermal imaging camera was still recording, and we had the audio from that. So it caught the actual EVP coming through. So I was pretty stoked. But again, you guys actually did a really nice job tonight. I love the excitement out of you guys. I know you guys were all sweating to death, and dude, you're wearing pants. I don't know how the hell you're doing it. Like, I am dying out here. I'm gonna stop your